All right. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome to another Greenbridge Investing Market Analysis. This is our live stream. So I want to welcome you all and thank you for joining me. In this session, I want to talk about the Bitcoin buy signal that's developing at the moment and how we're going to consider taking that or not. And I want you to be able to use your discretion in this situation, because the location is still less than ideal. And as you saw what occurred with Ethereum, we can see that again, like the probability isn't the greatest, but the thing is we have the structure in our favor. So we'll talk about that. All right, also, if you have some symbols or some markets that you'd like to see, please share them in the channel now. So when I am through with my analysis, we can take a look at your stocks or your markets. Okay, so with that being said, this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Now, let's begin with Bitcoin. Hey, Ankit, and hey, Michael. Ankit, my sound is probably a lot better right now compared to the podcast, right? And I listened to that podcast video, I listened to the sound, and I realized what was going on with that. I can't hear that sound when we're podcasting. I can't hear what's actually going on in the YouTube channel. So thank you for that feedback. All right, so let's get started with this Bitcoin situation here. Now, as you know, we had some orders that we sent out in Bitcoin, okay? And Michael, you even talked about this. Remember we talked about the head and shoulders over here. Yeah, you know why, Ankit? Because I'm much closer. I realize what the problem is. My microphone volume is low, and right now I'm very close to the microphone. But when I'm on the show, I'm not. I'm like talking over here on the show. That's why I probably sound lower now. So I recognize the problem. It's an easy fix. But I appreciate that feedback because, again, we want to make that show a lot better. All right, so as far as Bitcoin goes, we talked about this potential. Now, we had a couple of orders, right? We had the 11,500 limit order, which we canceled. And then we had that 11,800 area, 850 area, whatever that buy stop that we put out. We adjusted it, and that never filled, right? So we were able to, by working with the orders, we were able to avoid this red candle and getting caught in that. Didn't work that way for Ethereum. And that's another thing I want to point out. That's why we don't send out 10 buy signals. Even though we'll see something, we may see something in XTZ, we may see something in Litecoin, we may see something in all these different things, but it's all the same trade. And this is what you need to understand. If you buy some Litecoin and you buy some Ethereum and you buy some Bitcoin, it's all the same trade. If Bitcoin pulls back, you're going to get stopped out of all of them. So it's, managing your risk in these situations is way more important than trying to catch a move. You're not going to miss any move. If there's a big move, there will be multiple opportunities to enter into that move, because there are, continuation setups that we can look for. That's why there's no need to feel like you're going to miss out on something. All right, now, so going back to this Bitcoin situation, we still have this resistance zone, okay, between 11,600 and 12,300, and it's still in play. But here's the conflict. This is a very conflicted situation because the 11K support is holding. It's still holding. It's just below this key resistance, and we're not seeing any follow through. This is the same reason why I was looking to get long back here, because when you get a fake out like this, you should see some real follow through. If everyone is banging out their positions or you have all these shorts jumping in, we should see follow through. And we're still not seeing it. Why haven't we taken out that 11K support? We didn't even go below that support. And here we are with now another inside bar. So that is a lack of bearish momentum. What I don't like about this location, again, and I've been talking about this, is this resistance zone. But why we would be open to taking such a trade is because the overall structure, as you know, from the March low is clearly bullish. Okay, one giant higher low followed by a higher high. All we have here, basically what's going right now, is just another consolidation. So by taking buy signals is the right thing to do in terms of probability, even if the location isn't that great. So, how do you adjust for that? Well, this is why we only call 1% trades in these situations, compared to we would probably be more open to a 2% risk, or maybe even 3%, which is rare, at the key support, okay? So a situation like this would call for 1%, and maybe 1% is too much for you, so risk a 0.5%. I want you to be able to use your discretion in these situations and be able to take our signals that we send out a step further. So I wanted to mention that on Bitcoin. And for those of you that are new, who are just following the channel, make sure you subscribe to the Greenbridge Investing channel here, so that every time I do one of these, you get an email notification. And if you like the video, send me a like. Let me know, all right? Because I'm always looking for feedback, and if you don't like the video, I want to know that too. Anyway, so we like this inside bar, and it's a potential long. If we close like this, I'm going to be looking to send this out after the close. Let's see, the high is 11.5 and a half. So the order will probably be around 11.6 because I want to make it work a bit. All right, the stop will probably be just below 11K. Maybe 10,850 or something like that. I'll give it some room, but I don't want to give it a very wide stop because if this thing's going to hold, it has no business going below 11K. Does that make sense to you guys? So again, my point of this video is you have some ideas here, and I'm going to send out a swing trade signal most likely to our members, right? Obviously, you have to be a member to receive the text and the email with all the specific information. But if this scenario doesn't work out and we take out this low, which is still possible, then we're looking at 10.5, right? And that's the situation that we had to face with Ethereum. If I pull up that Ethereum chart here real quick, and look, here's the Ethereum chart, right? And look, you can see the trade. There's the trade information, and the stop was at 376. And it pretty much just stopped out. The low is 369. And here we are trying to hold. Now, Ethereum has that lower high in place. So not the best looking chart in the world, and some can argue that this is a head and shoulders, but in light of the broader structure, that head and shoulders does not carry any weight. So I would be expecting that head and shoulders to be broken on the bullish side. All right, and we're getting the same situation. They're getting the inside bar. But this time, I'm not going to call multiple coins, right? I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get caught in this situation, especially with the way the market is right now. It's a very strange situation. And as we're going into the next, couple of months, these things may see some wild moves as a result of other markets seeing wild moves. So again, you have to use your discretion. The Bitcoin signal can be used pretty much across the board. I mean, look, let's take a look at Link real quick, right? Here's another one that I've been watching carefully to possibly send out an idea. And look what we have. Same idea. Inside bar. I mean, this is a nice triangle consolidation, and this thing looks like. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Hold on. Let me just put this in the channel here so you guys know. All right. Anyway, yeah, my internet connection there, whatever. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I like this setup, and yeah, it is like it's not exactly right, Ankit. A failed low would be ideal, but we may not get that, right? The market may not deliver that, so we just have to take what we can get. And we're basically in this type of situation, we're betting on the broader structure, right? That's really what we're betting on for follow through from that. So just keep an eye. If that Bitcoin, I'm going to most likely send out the Bitcoin trade, but I'm not going to send out Link. I'm not going to send out Ethereum, but if you guys like these setups, it's the same setup. Okay, so I just want to point that out. I don't want everyone getting caught up in all these things and then, they all pull back. And you have like another situation like we had in Ethereum. So that's what I want to cover. If you guys have any questions about that, let me know. Now, real quick, let's take a look before I get into your symbols into, and I know we have a bunch of questions. Let's go over this, okay? This mess right here. So I know we had a question about the short shares on the Qs that were assigned to us, because I know we had a short call out there, and we took position. I believe Andrew answered that question. But in these situations, I mean, this is a part of the risk that you take. I mean, this thing, you have to understand something. We keep saying, watch out, watch out, watch out, and it just keeps going higher and higher and higher. But I have to say this: if I didn't like shorting it, if I didn't like buying it at these highs over here, like this 11.5, you think I'm going to change my mind and start buying it now? No. That's a very common mistake. So, okay, I give up. It's not a short, it's a long. Let me start buying. And this is the worst possible price. The higher it goes, the greater risk of retrace, the greater probability. I know it's just hard to believe because we have nothing there right now that says it wants to retrace. But I look at my stocks, I look at a bunch of stocks, and while the Nasdaq is doing this, which is just a handful of stocks, my stocks are red. So there's nothing behind this. It's a lot of hot air, right? Let's take a look at the S&P real quick. Right, the S&P is doing the same thing. Now keep in mind, it's hard to understand. It's irrational. Look at how we're advancing beyond the March peak. Okay, great. But this market can still go to somewhere between here and like 3,600 or 3,700 and still fake out. It's possible. So imagine what that would look like. Also, you have to keep in mind that this is a stimulus environment, right? So this effect is most likely coming from a lot of stimulus combined with the fact that volume is generally lower this time of year. So the market is easier to kind of push for certain players. And, obviously it's favorable for the US government to have a situation like this. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but my point is, that's what you're up against. Now, keep in mind, yesterday and today, and I think even tomorrow, there's that Jackson Hole symposium, the economic symposium. Can you imagine, like, going to how exciting and fun that must be? A gathering of economists. Can you imagine the bad jokes that they must tell? Anyway, in Wyoming of all places. I mean, talk about the most boring state. I don't know anyone from Wyoming. I hope no one here is from Wyoming. Anyway, so any kind of chatter that comes out of there, you have to keep in mind, can affect this. Chairman Powell spoke today, I believe. We saw that on the economic calendar. And anyone else that's speaking that gives any kind of hints that can be interpreted in whatever way, you're going to see this type of, you're going to see a reaction. That's why I'm not too surprised to see this, but at the same time, I'm not buying this. No way. Okay, this is just it's too complacent. All right, so I just wanted to point that out. And like, let's take a look at some stocks real quick. Let me stocks that are probably leading the way. I mean, look at Tesla, trying to push the high there, or pretty much just barely pushing that high, right? Amazon pushing the high. Look at that. Who's going to buy that? Unless you're a day trader. Apple. Oh, A-A-P-L. I can't spell Apple anymore. Look at this, right? This is Apple. I mean, what is that? Actually, is that Apple? It's red today, is that right? No, it's up $4, okay. But again, you got to be nuts to be buying these things. Netflix. What is it? NTFX? Netflix. How come I don't have that symbol right? Netflix. No, that's not it. Yeah, we're going to take a look at yours. Hold on. All right, forget Netflix. Let's take a look at Google. Again, look at this, right? This is what's driving this market. This is it. You got to be nuts to buy these things. So I just want to point that out. There is such thing as hot air. And yes, it's a contrarian point of view. Like I said, we tried a couple of shorts. We were very careful with those shorts because you can't get really stuck in one of those opinions. Thanks, Ankit. It just wasn't coming to me. You can't get stuck in those opinions. We try it, it doesn't work, we move on. Right, look at this, Netflix. Wow. Okay, look at that vertical bar. This is why the Nasdaq is looking the way it looks. Meanwhile, you know, if you look at some of these other stocks, like I mean, how's Square doing? It's really not doing a whole lot, right? I mean, it's actually negative on the day. That's not exactly good. How about Iovance? You know, that's another one that we follow pretty closely. It's red on the day. I mean, again, these aren't big representations of the stock market, but I mean, how's Microsoft? Right, that's a bigger representation on the highs. So you know, you have certain stocks that are driving this market, but it's not all stocks. So I would be very cautious here. This is not a place for long-term positions. That's the key thing. You want to do that on pullbacks, on at least some kind of pullback. We got nothing here. All right. So anyway, that's my speech on that. Let me get to your questions from you guys. I know you guys have a lot of questions. I know we had in the chat room, I had a couple of questions. Like I know we had, what was that one? Was it Workhorse? No, Work, Slack Technologies, right? And let me just address that one real quick. Look, in this market, great. This is what it should be doing. If you're in it, this is what it should be doing. In fact, it should be doing better than this, you know, with the Nasdaq pushing highs. You do have this higher low right here. Okay, you have that situation right there. And you have basically this consolidation here. Let me back that up real quick and let me show you what I mean. I can draw a box around this. See this? I mean, that's a higher low relative to this entire structure. This should break out and this should go higher theoretically, but you're going to need the Nasdaq and the S&P to keep going. How much are they going to keep going? That's the problem with these. So that's why I would not pile into these things like right now. You know, this is a really tough spot. Like if you're in it, okay, great. Let the thing do its job. Okay, let it break out and see how far it goes. But the risk that you take by putting on a new position is that Nasdaq has that pullback that comes out of nowhere. You know, some piece of news that no one expected. Next thing you know, the Dow is minus 1,000 points, like it comes out of nowhere, and these stocks getting hammered. So don't get lured by this if you're not in. Just be patient. There will be more opportunities, okay? So Work was one of them. The other one that he asked for was, it was Work, and it was MRNA, all right? That was the other one. Again, same situation. Now, I know same guy asked a question about this the other day, and I said, you know, I think it was on Monday's analysis. On Monday, we had this red candle, okay? And I said there was no setup there, so that wasn't really the best time to buy. Tuesday, though, saw the inside bar, which I had mentioned. If you get something like that, that would be your chance to possibly do something. You know, I had my hands full on Tuesday, so I apologize for missing this. But this was on, you know, this was on the radar, and I had just too much going on with the podcast and stuff. So it's on its way now. Point is, it's on its way. If you're not in it, don't chase it. If you're in it, let it run, because it looks like it wants to close strong. We only have about 15 minutes before it closes. Let it try to do its thing, okay? Now, one good thing about this stock is it's not exactly market sensitive, so news can drive it if the market decides to stop going higher forever, okay? So just something to keep in mind. I definitely like the higher low, and in theory, it should go for a higher high, but you can't chase. So you have to let these things go sometimes. All right, so that's those two. Let me see what I have. Michael, about that, I'm not sure this is it, though. Still expecting a larger pullback. Well, so Michael, so back to Bitcoin. You're talking about Bitcoin there. And, yeah, it's, you know, it's a tough call, okay? And that's why when I say, like, if we send out that swing trade idea, I try not to let, like, my opinions get in the way. I may say, oh, you know, Bitcoin's too high or Bitcoin's too low. My opinions don't really matter. What really matters is the structure, and that structure is still very bullish. So even, some buy signals are going to work and some of them aren't going to work. Even this bullish environment. The thing is, we have to be willing to take those chances. Even if they're small positions and they're more aggressive, we're still behaving the proper way relative to this structure. Because again, we don't know which one's going to go. Okay, it wasn't this one. Maybe it'll be this one. There's no way to know. Okay, but like back here when we got them, this one went somewhere. It didn't go very far, but it went somewhere. Could have made something on that. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. The fact also, what makes it more compelling is the fact that it doesn't push the support. Okay, when you get these exhaustion moves, right? When it tries and it fails and it tries and it fails, it should be breaking supports, and it's not. So that points to many who are probably getting short, and they're going to get squeezed. It's a very common mistake. Okay, I used to make that mistake. I still occasionally make that mistake. But I'm just faster to get out. So anyway, okay, cool. By the way, if you're new to Greenbridge Investing, make sure you check out our website at greenbridgeinvesting.com. We do provide swing trade signals by text and by email. We provide portfolio ideas, and we have a chat room where we're sharing perspective and analysis each day. Also, if you like this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel and send me a like. Let me know if you like me or not. Okay, I always like to know. All right, so Ankit failed low. Okay, so I got all that. So, right, well, DJ, sure. Bitcoin consolidated for a while. In fact, Bitcoin consolidated for like almost 2 years before it had that 2017 run. So it was a lot of nothing, and people forgot about it until 2017. So it hasn't been that long yet, but this is definitely a consolidation, and we want to try to work with it the best that we can. And we have to recognize those minor supports. If we don't get the ideal situation, it's just about adjusting and working with what the market's giving us without reacting, okay? So BYND, let's take a look. BYND, that's Beyond Meat. This one, I haven't heard about this one in a while. I guess everyone's forgotten about this one. This one was a big mover not too long ago. And look, nice location. I like this higher low situation. Here, let's take a look here. You have a support right here, okay? Basically 118. You can round that to like maybe 120. And look, it goes back to this resistance back here. Notice the relationship, right? So you have some of that action going in there. Again, those levels are never going to be precise. So you can't look at them and say, okay, it's exactly at 118, let me buy it. It's going to be the general area. And we need to examine the price action in that area. So we're not pushing that support, and it's trying to find, I mean, look at the buying activity. Look at this. We have like a pin bar right there, right? We have a pin bar over here. So it's been trying, just hasn't been getting anywhere. My only concern with a situation like this is the fact that the market is doing so great, and where is this thing? Why isn't this thing joining the party? I mean, great location, but I would be concerned about this. I would expect this one to follow the market a little bit more. This is not a biotech stock, so I would be expecting this to be pushing with the Nasdaq or the S&P or something. So that's a concern here. So on something like this, if you get involved in something like this, I mean, look, who knows? Maybe it'll play catch up, but it tried. Here, you have to look at this too. See this right here? See this move? That was probably on some news or whatever that was. You see that? A lot of people get long in that situation. And all those people are now stuck. Probably many of them are probably stuck and they're holding this thing, okay? Which gives more reason for this thing to break the support and see some bearish follow through. I would anticipate something like that if the S&P and Nasdaq choose to pull back one of these days. So this is a concern with the stock. And so again, I would keep like a tight stop on something like this if you were to take it. We probably won't be calling something like this, for that reason. We want to find stocks that are performing a little bit better in this environment if we're going to try to play that game. Because again, we're facing that high risk of retrace across the broader market. And it's something you always have to be mindful of. All right, so thanks for bringing that one up. All right, I got Netflix. Yeah, so Netflix, that vertical, maybe that is a short squeeze. Another one like that I was talking about recently was Shopify, right? And Shopify pretty much, look at that, right? We called this a short on Friday. So much for the short. So again, that's why you got to be careful with these things. We said, you know, short small shares or whatever, because again, you have to face, this is a risk that you're taking. So this thing, you know, even though it hasn't taken out that high yet, or it hasn't closed above that high, it's got this higher low. The head and shoulders is breaking the wrong way. And it's like in this situation, you take the loss. You just take the stop, you take the loss. And if you get another setup in this area, again, it's aggressive because you're fighting a generally strong market, but you're playing the potential that the market turns, especially this time of year. We're going into that, but you have to understand, you can't go into it with an opinion, and you can't go into it thinking, oh, okay, how much higher is the market going to go? You know, I'm just going to short it. That's the worst thing you can do. Although you may be right, it can take a few weeks for the proper structure to develop. And it needs to begin with some kind of catalyst that really knocks the wind out of the market. I mean, that's the only thing that's going to start turning this momentum and fighting against the stimulus. So you have to wait for something like that, which means you're probably not going to get the top. Okay? So now, I know in the chat room, like we had a couple other questions, like Michael, you brought up, what was that one? PTSD? Is it that one? No, that's not it. Hold on. I'm not good with symbols today. What's that stock that you brought up in the chat room about the, because I guess the earnings weren't that good or whatever it was? PTSD? Is it that one? Did I just put that in? Man, I'm having problems with my memory over here. And now I'm not talking about my computer. So what is that stock, you guys? PSTG, that's it. Thank you. So Michael, Pure Storage, that's it. Michael asked a question, you know, because we had a long-term position in this. Now, I believe Andrew answered the question also, but I didn't read his answer because I had to set this thing up for the stream here. But in a situation like this, you know, we talked about this on the podcast yesterday. Going into the earnings, you had this lower high and all that kind of stuff. Again, you can't predict how price is going to react into an earnings report because you don't know what they're going to say, right, during the conference call. There's no way to know from a chart. So in this situation, I mean, it's ugly, and the safe thing to do is just to get out, okay, take the loss or whatever, and just let it stabilize. But honestly, though, if we look at this support right here, it's $15. If this thing doesn't follow through over the next few days, like if it stabilizes and you don't see bearish follow through, then it's probably going to become a long. But again, that's probably also going to be dependent on the stock market. So, I mean, it's hesitating right now, probably because the stock market's so strong. All right, I would guess that may have something to do with it. Someone's stepping into there. I mean, look, you have it's an ugly candle, but it's still green. And you're in a failed low area. So we have to see how it plays out over the next few days. But like I said, the conservative and safe thing to do, just get out, take the loss, because you're facing a lower high. And even if it pops up a little bit, you may see that situation just like we saw in Bitcoin. Pulls back, pops up a little bit, and then it goes for that next low. And you don't need to be caught up in that. Okay, so yeah, thanks for bringing that one up. I think I got everyone's questions. Now I know Powell was in the other chat room, and he asked a question. I can't remember the symbols he wanted to see, so he's not here. But I know he had a couple of questions in there. Anyway, all right, you guys. So do I have any other questions? I know you don't like the volume thing, but on this red candle we have a well, I mean, so Michael, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the volume only because I don't feel it's the most accurate piece of information given all the ways you can hide your size and all that stuff, but it does have some value. if you want to use it. I just basically get that information in other ways. But when you see a volume spike, let me see, I could turn the volume on. Do I have the volume here? So yeah, look at that. Okay. A volume spike can often be a sign, okay? Like, so if you see a volume spike on a bearish move, it's probably exhausted. That's typically what it means, okay? So you're looking, actually have to think contrarian, and you're looking for this thing to reverse. That's what I would infer from such a spike, especially since it's way above average volume there. But like I said, it's better to be safe and just let this thing stabilize. But if it does stabilize over the next few days or going into next week, you know, I wouldn't be that surprised, because these levels aren't really, you know, these are pretty decent levels. The only thing you're competing with here right now is the lower high. Okay, that gigantic volume bar is often a lot of people banging it out, or people getting stopped out, and it's just overdone. You know, everyone gets out. Meanwhile, someone's stepping in and buying it. Okay, so oh yeah, sure. Let's take a look. Thanks for. Yeah, I'm a little slow today. Sorry, guys. All right, so so this one's another I like to call another hype stock, or a stock that's in the news and it's dependent on news. So right off the bat, here's where I see the inflection point, right? We got one right there. It's basically that 17.5 area, and that's where we're fooling around right now. I mean, today it's at 17.38 right now, and you know, you're buying the pullback. If anything, right, if you're considering a long, you're not buying the high. That's good. You're buying the pullback. All right, so that's a start. As far as the recent price action on these candles, well, the other day, what was this, Monday? It was off to a good start. Now, this is where, no, DJ, not enough is the problem. Not enough. No, I'm just kidding. So this is what you want to see here. So we have this attempt at some buying. It goes to a point, and look at today. Right now you're getting this bearish pin bar. This may actually scare some people into getting short, but the reality is, if you see the failed low, like in this area here, that would actually be a buy signal, okay? Which is what price is this? Around the 16.5 area. You would actually get a buy signal. That's probably more of an ideal buy signal, because it'd be a double bottom. Just because you're getting a bearish pin bar here doesn't mean it's going to follow through. Bearish pin bars are something you want to see at highs, not lows. This is a low. So that bearish pin bar doesn't carry much weight. All right, so just something to keep in mind there. Again, the concern here too is when you see stocks acting this way in the face of a super strong stock market, and there's just no other way to describe the stock market, you know, this relative weakness is a concern. So, and I've talked about this many times, and it doesn't always play out like, you know, the stock market may take a little break, this stock goes nowhere, the stock market makes another leg higher, and then this one plays catch up, right? We see that all the time. So you have to decide in these situations, you know, if you can take the risk. Now look, here, take a look at Workhorse. Talk about being patient. You have to decide if you want to take the risk, and you should be able to recognize the potential. You've watched enough of my videos to manage that type of situation, even if we don't call them. I mean, that's part of the value of that you get from Greenbridge, is you learn, you know, through our perspective, so that you're confident in making some of these decisions on your own, right? That's one of the greatest values. So, oh, okay. Yeah, he's really good. You know, he's been calling a lot of good, he's been making some good calls. He's very conservative. Now, let's talk. I want to just show you Workhorse. We've been so patient with this thing, and it still hasn't reached its first target. I thought it was going to go there yesterday after this candle. I'm like, all right, we should be getting to our first target, but it just doesn't want to go there. So in a situation like this, the reason why I'm pointing this out is when you get this candle, and we closed, okay? So I don't know if you want to maybe lighten up after hours, or maybe first thing tomorrow, when you know, pre-market. If this thing is still fooling around this price, doesn't hurt to take a little off the table. Okay, we got into this thing at 1585, and it just doesn't want to push that first target. We're consolidating, and with the stock market doing what it's doing, again, I would expect this thing to be pushing resistances, and it's just not. So it doesn't hurt to maybe lock in 1/3 or something like that. It doesn't hurt to do that. And just reduce risk in the situation while you can. So if this thing goes all the way back to break even or to the stop, at least it won't be as such a liability. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out. Any other questions, you guys? Great questions. I think I got everyone's questions. I know the chat room has been a little slow. Andrew's just been a little bit behind, but you know, he'll be back in full swing. Just, you know, I really appreciate your patience. You know, we're trying to just keep things going here the best we can. There's a lot going on, and we have to watch a lot of stuff, and I have to watch a lot of stuff, and you know, all that. So just appreciate your patience there. All right, so do I have any other questions? Any other questions about any markets you want to see? Oh, here's one. Here's one. Dollar Canadian. Look at this thing. Oh, this thing. Anyone in this besides me? Anyone in this piece of garbage? This thing sucks. I mean, I've had it with this thing. 31.49. Today's low is 31.32. Right? The stop is at 31. Oh, cool, DJ. I'm glad you liked it. Again, it's going to only improve more. It's only going to improve more. Okay, the Talking Market show. I've been working very hard to make the quality of that show better. Okay, so this thing. Okay, Florence, you're in this thing. Yeah, this thing is a real pain. Okay, we're fighting against a weak dollar, and you know, this is the third time we've tried this thing, and it's still trying to hold that support. But you know what? I'm going to tell you, I don't like it. Okay, we'll take a look at that too. I've been forgetting to address Forex because it's just hasn't been very pleasant. See this low right here? Was that 31, 35 or whatever? This thing really needs to not break that low. Okay. This thing takes out that low. I mean, at this point, I'm not going to call for an early exit because it's right at the low, and it's likely that we see a fake out. Okay, hopefully this thing doesn't get stopped out, but we do have this little lower high in place right here in something that's fundamentally and technically bearish. So we're really fighting this one, and it's not, you know, this is really not how something reversing. This is not how it should behave. So, you know, again, we're fighting that weak dollar, and if this stops out, I'm telling you guys right now, I'm not going to call another long in dollar Canadian. We just have to leave it alone and wait for a better opportunity. Okay, so that's the deal with that. We were trying to play that momentum push, like if we get that squeeze, and you watch next month, you're going to see this thing at like 35. You know, and like, this stupid thing stopped us out 3 times, and now it's doing what we thought. That's always the case. But you're better off taking the stop, which saves you money, because what if I'm wrong and this thing goes to like, you know, 129 or 128? You'd be like, why did I hold on to this thing? So just, if it goes to the stop, just take the stop, okay? That's why we risk 1% on these things and not higher than that. All right, so I wanted to point that out. And New Zealand, this was a play of the week, and this was a short. I know it was doing okay for a little while there, but just like, you know, we were betting on the dollar bounce, and again, we're seeing the opposite taking place here. So what's this thing at right now? It's at 66.20. What is that? 22. And I know that the stop loss is at basically at 67. But again, fighting this thing, right? Something like this, I would probably opt for an early exit because, I mean, this was a play of a week. We didn't send this out by text. So something like this, you're fighting the higher low, and it looks like it's, you know, going to go for it. In theory, this should make a higher high. In theory, it should go here. I don't know if it will. These things have a tendency to fake out a lot. So at this point, you have to use your discretion. You have to decide, you know, do you want to take that full stop, or, you know, you can just take the loss earlier, and if it turns again, get back in. But the Forex market is a real pain right now, you know, and that dollar is just on the verge of turning, but we may not see anything dramatic until going into the election cycle, like right into it, or after the election, because I think a lot of this has to do with propping up so that people are happy going into the U.S. election, or basically affecting people's feelings going into the election. I think, I mean, it's a conspiracy theory, but you know, I wouldn't be too surprised with all the action that they're taking to keep that stock market strong, keep that dollar weak, which also results in a strong stock market, right? Inflation results in higher priced stocks. So, Michael, got a feeling that all the trades I'm in taking, don't go to the stop and don't go to, yeah, it's because it's a tough time, especially going into like the third and fourth week of August. It's a tough time. Volume dries up and things start to lose a sense of direction, and we can't lose sight of our levels, and we can't get caught up in any type of emotional type of situation. Like, again, I bring up the Nasdaq because that's emotional. Okay, people get this here is emotional. This is maybe there were too many shorts that were in this thing, or people are just way too complacent, or whatever it is, but this is emotional, and this is the absolute worst place to get into something. And that's why, you know, I titled the video, why is there so much risk here, or why, you know, is this a place to buy? Definitely not, because again, this is where, you know, people start to lose control of themselves. Oh, this thing's going up forever. Oh, I'm going to buy this. Oh, I'm going to buy Netflix. Oh, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy this. You know, people on Robinhood. Sorry, DJ, not you though, not you. Okay, Robinhood is actually, I make fun of the Robinhood. The platform isn't bad. It's just the people that have a tendency to use it don't do the proper research, and the platform is not ideal for the type of research, okay? But I encourage people to use Robinhood all the time because it's a nice, easy way to get into the market, you know, on your phone. But you just have to have a better way to do your research. Right, so it could be, you know, all new money, whatever it is. We cannot get distracted. We have to just follow our plan. At some point, this market will pull back. What we don't want to do is, you know, you lose your patience and you say, okay, that's it. I've missed this buying. It's just going to keep going higher. And by the time you finally choose to get in, it's the top. It always works that way for some reason. So the only thing you can do in these situations is just be patient and wait, okay? By waiting, right, by waiting, you know, you're opening yourself up to quality opportunities. You're not going to catch them all. You're never going to buy bottoms. You're never going to sell tops. But if you can just consistently pull something out of the market, you're doing your job. And if you're managing risk and you're managing it well, meaning when you get caught in something, you don't take a big loss, right? It's a small loss. You may even take a few in a row. We do that all the time. The thing is, you know, you will preserve your capital, and when a quality opportunity comes along, you'll have the capital to participate in it. And if you happen to catch that occasional home run, you know, like as many of you have in some of the stocks that you've been telling me about, you know, that's what really puts you over, okay? But it's that constant emphasis on risk management and preserving your capital is what puts you in that type of position. And that's what we're all about. Like, you know, Andrew's philosophy, you know, even Dave and myself are always about, okay, so what, we missed the move. You go somewhere else, they're going to be making calls all over the place. And yeah, it's a lot of action. And then you're going to have people saying, oh, I'm making this, oh, I'm making that. And you're going to think like, oh, I must be doing something wrong. Everyone around me is making money but me. But meanwhile, the reality is they're not really making money. Right? They make some here and they make some there. But when things turn, no one's making money, right? So you can't get caught up in that kind of stuff. Just be patient and follow the plan, and that's, you know, what we try to focus. So again, you know, I want to leave you with this. If I don't have any more questions, I just want to leave you with this. I'm pointing this out because this is definitely a irrational, emotional situation. Something like, if you look at the VIX index, which is a sentiment measure, it's probably lower than 22 now. I haven't looked at it. Can I look at it on here? I think I can. I believe I can. Let me see. Right, what is this thing here? Today it's at, oh, it's at 23. It's actually ticked up. That's strange. Shouldn't be ticking up. That should be going lower. So that's the S&P. This is usually a sign of complacency, right? And people are most complacent at market tops, not market bottoms. People are usually most fearful at market bottoms, and no one wants to buy the bottom because it looks like it's going to go lower forever. At the top, it looks like it's going to go higher forever. Like I put in the chat room, when things look their best, like this, that's usually where the most risk exists. Okay, so I'll leave you guys with that. How am I doing here with time? I know I've been talking too much because I have a tendency to do that. Do I have any other questions from you guys? I feel like this is a short session. I've only been at it for 45 minutes. Usually these go on for like over an hour. Any other questions? I think I covered all the markets that we're in. I know we had some other questions in the chat room about stuff, but I don't see. There's a question about Pac B. And looking for inflection. Wow. Well, yeah, something like this. Yeah, there's really, if you're in something like this, there's nothing to do but let it run, really. You know, look at this thing. Your first inflection point is here at 569. Okay, so that thing could pull back to there and still be in good shape. Yeah, look at that. So what a nice move on that one. And look at this. And I want to bring this up too. Look at Jamia. All right, and I'm going to leave you guys with this one, because remember a few weeks ago. Remember Jamia. Oh, nice, DJ. Wow. Yeah, see what I mean? Home run. That's a home run. So you conserve your capital. You conserve your capital. Andrew called this, I sold out the position. Oh yeah, good one, Michael. Good. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, let me go over that one real quick. But like I was saying, you know, you conserve your capital and you're careful. You take some stops, you have some wins, but then you get a home run. And like I said, they're not frequent, but when you get one, it really puts you over. So what's actually making you a winner is not the home run. It's preserving your capital and being defensive and taking small losses. That's actually what makes you a winner, not the home run. Okay? I know that may be hard to understand, but that's the reality. So I'm going to go over, that's the one I was thinking about, Michael, GRWG. So we'll go over that. But I want to point out before I do Jumia, remember a few weeks ago, a month ago, do you remember this? Do you remember everyone going crazy over Jumia? And it's going to, you know, this is going to be the next Amazon in Africa and all that other stuff, and all the hype and all the other nonsense, and it's going to 100. It'll be at 100 in a month. Okay, this is what you get. This is what usually happens. That. Okay, so imagine if you bought it up here, thinking, oh yeah, my friend told me to buy it, and oh wait a minute, what's it at? Oh, it's at $9. What happened? My friend doesn't know what he's talking about. So that's what I mean, right? You'll see this all the time. Why we always say, stay away from vertical moves. If you're not in early on this, if you're not in from the lows and you're not selling into this move, you're going to most likely get caught in this. This is the typical behavior. Not all the time, but again, the Nasdaq is going to do this. A lot of the Netflix is going to do this. They all do it. Okay, at some point, and you don't want to be the one caught up in here. All right, so we just don't know when. Let me go over GRWG. Oh, nice, Michael, nice. Right, remember, because whenever we see something vertical like that, we will always say, take something off the table at the highs. That's your opportunity to unload onto the herd who doesn't know any better. They're buying because someone on Twitter told them to buy it. Okay, or someone on TV told them to buy it, and they're buying it, and it's your opportunity to basically transfer your risk over to them. That's what you're doing. That's how all this works. So when things go vertical like that, you're never going to sell the top. You just reduce your risk. Okay. And it's always a good habit. So even if you don't sell your whole position, you're still going to lock in a bunch of green. And even if you hold on to 1/3 of it and it pulls all the way back on you, you're still going to have a green trade. Okay, sure. All right, no problem, DJ, no problem. So let's talk about this GRWG that, again, was brought up in the chat room. Let's see what the story, again, look at this vertical, right? I was just talking about Jumia. Look at this. So this thing ran to 23. And look where we are now, right? So what about, so I could see why he brought this up, because it's trying to find a failed low. It's trying. But that's not enough. 3 candles is not, I would like to see more candles for one. I mean, especially after such a sharp vertical move, this thing probably has some more to give back. And the reason why I say that is remember who's buying this, okay? All of DJ's friends on Robinhood are buying that. And when they get caught, I'm just kidding, DJ. When they get caught, you know, you have day traders all over the place too in this thing. And they're going to be banging it out all over the place. And when you have all these traders caught in such a situation, now you're fighting that, especially if this news was just all hot air. So I would wait until this thing stabilizes more. 3 candles is not enough. Although, you know, nice move. I would wait. I mean, we have no inflection points. Look at this. Looking back, there's nothing. There's nothing unless you look all the way over here, which is like, what is this? What is this price over here? 6.5? 6, yeah, a little over 6.5. Like that's really your first structural inflection point. So I would stay away from this right now and let this thing stabilize. Give it a few more candles, because this is very likely, even if it pops up a bit, it's likely to just fail again, because everything is so sharp. You want to see, this thing needs time, okay? So I would give that some time to stabilize. Nice one for bringing that one up. And NIO. I actually bought puts on Jumia. Oh, nice. Wow, so you made money on that, DJ? NIO. Wow, here we go. Vertical. Okay, what are these? I'm not familiar with this one. What do these guys do? So right off the bat, first thing I'm looking for are inflection points right there. 1581. So basically that $16 area is your first inflection point. So like we just talked about with Jumia and all them, buying it right here would be a bad idea. I know all you guys know that. Now, so your first retrace area, the first point of interest would be around that 16. What's this thing at right now? 2097. Wow, nice. There you go. Home run. Okay, very nice. So we should have a competition of our members who's got the most home runs. I'm just kidding. I won't pressure you guys like that. All right, so I would wait for a pullback here. That's your first inflection point. There's no guarantee that you're going to get a bounce there. There's no guarantee. But that's your highest likelihood if there's anything you're going to do with that, right? That would be your best spot. I don't know. It's a Robinhood stock. Want to buy puts again? Wait, you want to buy puts on NEO? You want to? Is that what you're saying? Because I mean, here's the thing with that, DJ. It's likely to turn. Okay, but it's also the vertical may not be over yet. That's what makes these very tricky when you're trying to short them or trying to take advantage of the short side. You would have to buy puts at least with a decent amount of time, you know, at least 2 months, I would say. Something like that. You would need some time, right, for this thing to dry up. But you just don't know when this vertical is going to stop. I mean, you had this little gap in here today, and you're closing kind of strong, and there's no bearish signal. So what if this inches further, right? So puts would definitely be the best way to go to play this thing short, because if you're wrong, you're only going to lose that premium and nothing more. So if this thing chooses to go to 100 or whatever, I'm just exaggerating, but you know, your risk will be limited. So it's not a bad idea. One thing you can do in this situation is see how it behaves tomorrow or the next day. And if you see some exhaustion signs, meaning 2 months away out of the money, right? They're going to have cheap puts. They're going to be 2 months and, you know, Out of the money is really where you want to be. You don't want to be at the money. But if you see any kind of exhaustion over the next couple of days, that would probably be a good place to start a position. You know, maybe buy a couple of cheap puts, because they're going to be cheap while this thing is pushing highs. And then, you know, if it starts to turn red, then maybe you add to it a bit. I mean, you could look at it that way. It's still very aggressive, you know, because you are facing, again, you said it's a Robinhood stock, so it's probably being hyped. You know, you may get a pullback and then one more leg higher. You just don't know how this thing's going to go. So, but that would definitely be the, if you were going to do it, that would be the way to do it, I think, at least a more conservative way or risk-controlled way to do it. All right, so I'll leave you with that. Now I've been talking long enough. I knew there was something wrong. Okay, now I've been at it for an hour. No, so that's a good question. Thank you for bringing that one up. And by the way, you guys, I'm planning to do an options webinar this Sunday. I'm going to let you guys know now, and I'm going to see if I could send the invitation out earlier than I usually do. It'll be probably 3 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. It's going to be a hands-on webinar. So what I'm going to do in that webinar is I'm not going to sit there and bore you with like 10,000 slides. Okay? What I'm going to do is I have a simulation app or website where I can actually place orders, options orders on, you know, onto a platform. So the market will be closed, but I'll still be able to demonstrate, you know, the concept of selling a put, selling a call, buying a put, buying a call. You know, for those that may not be as comfortable, you know, what you're looking at as far as in the options chains, because you see all this information there, and if you're new at this, you may be like, wow, what am I looking at? You know, what are the Greeks? Do I need to know them? You know, am I doing the right thing here? How do I make money in this? You know, that kind of thing. So, or even worse, how do I know if I'm not making money? How do I know if the position's against me and this and that? So I want to go over those kind of things. Yeah, Michael. So I'm going to have a platform that I can pull up, and it's really more about the order placement. And yeah, and you're the one that gave me the idea, because you had mentioned it'd be nice to have something like that. So I was like, okay, that would be a good webinar to do. You know, a hands-on options webinar. Because remember, the key thing with options, we could sit here and talk about butterflies, and we can talk about all that other nonsense. Man, that Nasdaq closed strong. But none of that stuff's going to help you if you don't have a strategy in place to begin with, right? You can't just open up a butterfly position. And I'm not going to get into all those combinations, but just single options outright, whether it's a long put, you know, like DJ's talking about here, or if it's a short call like we had on here on the Qs, you have to have a strategy in place. And it's really no different than a regular trade. It's just you have more flexibility. So we're going to talk about that stuff. So I want you guys to come away from that webinar a lot more confident. Now, it's going to be basic. So if you guys, like DJ, if you're really confident with options, it may be like a refresher for you, because again, I'm going to go over, you know, how do you buy a call? How do you buy a put? How do you short them? All like that kind of stuff. Very basic stuff. But I want to address it because we do have a lot of new people coming on who aren't as comfortable with options. Okay, so I want to make sure that we're all comfortable, so that when Andrew makes a call, you know, you guys, oh, okay, I know what to do. You know, and you guys won't be confused, and you guys will be confident. Because again, you must be confident in this game. And confidence comes from having a sense of control, knowing what to do when you're right, knowing what to do if something's not working, so you can recognize when you're wrong and get out, right? That's a sense of control. Without that, you trade scared, and you will never win scared. You just can't win, because you're always going to be emotional, and you're always going to do the wrong things at the wrong times. And basically, it's the herd mentality. That's what drives the herd mentality. It's not something that we consciously like to do. It's just what we do. You know, it's human. Okay, human nature. All right, you guys. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. On the webinar, could you also say something about European options? Sure, Michael. I'll look into that. I know. I mean, the primary difference between them is just really the way they settle. But yeah, we'll talk about that. That's a good thing to bring up. You know, no problem. So thank you for the suggestion. And you guys have any other suggestions for that webinar? You know what? Put them, email them to Andrew or something, or email them to me. You can email me at the same email, and you know, I'd definitely like keep that in mind. And if you have any ideas for any webinars that you'd like to see after this one, let me know that as well, because I got to come up with these. Okay. So, and I want to do stuff that's relevant to you guys and stuff that's useful to you guys. It doesn't matter, because I mean, I know all the stuff, so it's not, I'm not doing it for me, I'm doing it for you. Okay, you guys, so I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to thank you all for spending your time here with me today on this analysis. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you for all your great questions and all of your participation. If you're new to Greenbridge, make sure you check out our website at greenbridgeinvesting.com. We offer swing trade signals by text and by email. We also offer portfolio management ideas, mostly by email, and we have a chat room. We also have a free chat room, so come check it out. Ask us questions. We try to be there as much as we can to answer. Also, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel here. Subscribe to the Greenbridge YouTube channel so you get an email notification from YouTube, and like the video if you like it. That lets me know that I'm doing a good job and that you guys are happy. If I'm not doing a good job, please let me know that too, because I want to make these videos as good as I can so that you get the most out of it. All right, you guys, thank you very much. I'll see you in the chat room. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.